Hello and welcome to our episode 28, Conversation to Connect, Let's Get Real Talk, powered by Exceptional Connections. I'm CyndiONeill-Dady, the founder and chief connector of Exceptional Connections since 2009. So Exceptional Connections, we offer intentional and innovative solutions to boost your business. And each week we nominate a different member of our Exceptional Connections community to have a meaningful conversation with. So be sure to make yourself comfortable with a cup of tea or a beverage of your choice. And feel free to take notes, add comments to the chat box, and engage with us during our conversation. Around the 45-minute mark, we're going to go ahead and open the lines and invite our listeners to ask questions, epiphanies, ahhas, and of course, enter into our thought-provoking conversation. The inspiration of our bi-weekly Conversations to Connect, Let's Get Real Talks is purposeful conversations. So we desire to be relevant during these challenging and uncertain times and to support our community, to make an impact in the world, and of course, stay connected. So as we get started, I invite you to set aside all distractions and invest your attention to the conversation that's about to unfold. So I want to encourage you to look for just one idea that you can take away and put into action so you don't cheat yourself out of the time you've invested here. Our conversation to connect this week is with the beautiful, amazing, and super fun Dorice Horenstein from Portland, Oregon. So welcome, Dorice.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And I'm really excited about the conversation that we're going to be entering into here in a bit. We're going to be talking about positive intelligence, how to shift from a negative to a positive mindset to overcome challenges.
That's right.
And this is a very time-sensitive topic, given all that we've been through in the last year.
Yes, yes. You know, I must say, when you said this is a purposeful conversation, it brought this awareness to me of something that I was just writing about 2 days ago. Since I'm Jewish, I talk a lot about Judaism and positive intelligence, and I combine them. And this past blog I wrote was about the idea of a calling. And it emerged because Jews all around the world have been reading a particular portion in the book of Leviticus last Saturday. And that starts with the word, and he called, Vaikra, which actually means Leviticus. So I was reflecting on the word, and he called. So who called, and what's the importance of calling? And I wrote about it. And by the way, it's live. It's a blog on my website right now. I talked about 3 kinds of calling. One calling is, when you call me to see how I am, I'm calling you. That's, the exchange of information and checking in. The second kind of calling is when we are called on to do something. Being a leader, being a part of a group. In Judaism is becoming an adult, in a bar mitzvah ceremony, you're being called to do something. And then the third calling is what I call the calling with the capital letters. And that's the purpose. Finding what is your calling, right? And each one of us has our own calling. And how do you find that calling? Is by being still and listen, and opening our minds, by emptying our minds, right? By decluttering, we get clarity. So when you talk about purposeful, is that idea, is to sitting with that idea of a calling. What is it that we want to do? What is our purpose on this earth? And each one of us has our own mighty, amazing purpose.
Yes.
So I write about it in the blog, but when you mentioned purposeful, it just brought it to my head.
No, I love that conversation. And actually, that's a whole other conversation. But just to tag on to that, it's all about what gifts were you born with? And I think the most important thing we can do for our children, our grandchildren, is to help them identify what their gifts are.
That's
and
right.
to remind them, oh, look, that looks like one of your gifts. Because
Right.
we all have them.
And to also have them, allow them, young children or adults, to find it within themselves,
Yes.
not being told by
No.
other people, but
No.
actually delving into your own soul. And
Yes.
of course, that takes years, decades. And I write in my blog that I think that the first 50 years of my life, I'm over 50. Isn't it amazing? I'm like,
No.
yes, I'm over 50.
Just barely, right?
But the first 50 years of my life, I don't think I gave enough time and importance to that. I thought that my job, I needed to do my job, and I loved what I did. I was working in the education field. I loved what I did, but I didn't take the time to really do inward decluttering, right? Not only in my house, but me, myself.
Right.
And my book came as a result of all of that.
Right.
It was published later on in life. So,
Well, that's a beautiful.
That's what.
Oh, go
What?
ahead. Go ahead. I was just going to say that you've given
No,
me a beautiful segue here, because I was going to read your bio, but I really think, because you're a storyteller, I think it's better if you just, before we begin our talk, just give our listeners a little bit of background of who you are and a little bit about your journey to set the stage here.
Okay. I was born in Israel, raised in Israel, served in the Israeli military. I was an officer in the Israeli army. I taught people how to operate different kind of guns. And it's really an empowerment. When I look at it now, at when I was 18 and what I did, I really, Cyndi, I honestly believe that it formed who I were to become. And the leadership that I have experienced in middle school and high school, volunteering to all these things, actually came to be a really important facet of what I did in the army. Got to learn leadership, got to learn how to get along with other people around us, right? And then, so I did that. At the same time, I met my boyfriend, who became my husband, in Israel. He was an American, and we met on an apple picking machine. Those machines do exist. You are on a tractor and you have apples on right side and left side, and the tractor keeps on going slowly, and you're like picking them from the trees and you put them in these big bags. And the funny part was that he didn't have apples on his side, so he was looking at me, and I felt his look. And I wanted to play, a little difficult to get. So I told the guy, the tractor driver, I told him, I said, I don't think he's got apples to pick. So I think he needs to go down to the ground as the tractor moves slowly, and he has to pick up all the rotten apples, which he did. And that's how we kind of met and striked a relationship. And fast forward 2.5 years, I arrived to America because he bought me a ticket. He said, I would love for you to see where I come from. So in 1986, in December, one suitcase and no coat, I arrived to Portland, Oregon. And that's where I made my home for the last 35 years. Yeah, got married, had 3 kids. And when I came, I did not think that I was going to go into Jewish education. But you know how that is. Outside forces, for me, it's God, tells me, we think we're going to put you in Jewish education so you spread the light of Israel and the light of Judaism to everybody. And I did it lovingly for 30 years. And then something happened. I had this feeling in my heart that I need to get out of the synagogue work, that I needed to meet people such as yourselves that are not Jewish, that will not necessarily come into my walls of my synagogue for me to inspire them. I needed to step out of that world. And that was a hard decision, and it didn't come easy. My sister, at the same time as these things are cooking in me, my sister is diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 3. And I thought, what am I going to do? That became the birth of this book, because it's full of positive thoughts because of my sister's cancer. Moments of the heart. That's
Beautiful
right.
book.
The 4 relationships everybody should have to live wholeheartedly. And it uses this universal wisdom, the Hebrew language, and my own thoughts. And there is questions at the end of each entry about how you should really create your own roadmap to positive living and healthy relationships. And the book did not come out until I left the synagogue. And maybe that was one of the things that God wanted me to do. He said, I want you to leave, so then your book will be open to everybody. And in February of 2018, I remember I was going to go to Israel to visit my family. And my girlfriend, Allison, came by and she said, Dorice, take this book and put it in your backpack and you'll read it on the plane. And I thought, okay, I just put it in my backpack. I go on the plane, I sit in the seat, I open the book, and it says, The Universe Has Your Back. That's the name of the book. And I'm thinking, well, the universe has my back. Gabrielle Bernstein, I got to read this. I was not familiar with her before. So I'm reading this book. And by the time I land in Israel, I call my husband and I said, that's it. At the end of this academic year, I'm leaving. And it took Bob, my husband, 2 weeks to kind of be behind me on this, because he's like, whoa, let's organize it. Let's do it rationally. And I knew that there's something outside that needed me, and that I needed to jump to the ocean, and become unsinkable. I knew that I needed to swim with what was going on in my life. And indeed, July 1st, 2018, I left my work, and I didn't have a website then, and I didn't have my book published then, and nothing. And then within a month, I had a publishing company wants to publish my book, and I had my website up, and I had 500 people on my email list, and all that things that came to be because I was willing to open myself to new opportunities and to take the steps. Through that, as I was living in the last year, because of COVID, I was yet again introduced, and you can see a theme going through here. I was introduced to, somebody called me up and said, hey, Dorice, do you want to do this course in positive intelligence for coaches? And I thought, I wrote the book. I've started to become a speaker, traveling all over. Now I can't travel. So why not? Again, jump into the ocean, into something that you're not necessarily familiar with, but learn how to swim. And so I dedicated the 2020 to positive intelligence work. And I became a certified positive intelligence coach. And again, yet one more time jumping in, I thought, who would want me? Who would want to learn with me? Who would want me to coach them? But again, I jump into, and I just called people who I knew liked me, who I knew believed in me, who I knew will want me to be the best that I can be. And so today I can look back with a lot of gratitude in my heart and say, this is what became of somebody who let courage lead her way. Let courage lead my way. And those friends have opened their businesses, their organization, their corporations for me to do positive intelligence work with their employees, with their family members, with themselves. I can say, in Judaism, I say again, I'm thankful. And I say, the Almighty is great. And it sometimes gives you things, and you need to learn how to massage them so they fit who you are. And if something comes your way that is less than desirable, turn that into a gift and opportunity for something else they may come. And so that's how we met. That's how we met.
Yes. And I love, again, I just love you sharing your journey with us as we start this conversation. And it really inspires me that the way that you follow your heart and you're operating within your gifts. It's a beautiful thing. And it's a beautiful encouragement to all of us at this time where, a lot of feels like the rug has been pulled out from all of us. And it's an interesting time in history because it's happening worldwide.
Yeah.
In
You know,
every
it's so funny
country.
you mentioned the rug, you know, being pulled behind us. I mean, underneath us. You know, in Israel, there is this, there is a group of people, the Yemenite Jews, and they came on what they thought, because they've never seen a plane before, at the very, very beginning, they thought they were coming on the flying carpet, you know, like an Aladdin kind
Oh,
of thing, like on a flying carpet. And I'm thinking, you know what? A carpet that is being pulled from underneath you, just hold on to it and fly with it, because it would lead you to some place else that you may not know. You know, so
someplace
don't let that
magical.
thing that is being pulled underneath you
Yes.
be your falling stage. And by the way, I speak about it often. Everybody falls. Let's put it out there. Everybody falls. And if somebody tells you they never fail, they're lying. They're just putting this facade in front of them. They somehow are feeling ashamed or guilty or something. But everybody falling. Falling doesn't mean that you fail, right? Falling means you pick up and you have a better understanding of what made you fall, and then you get up and you keep on going. You know, when a toddler falls, right, we don't say, oh my God, what an idiot, you fell. We expect that of a toddler. You know, toddlers, that's what they do. They fall. We pick them up. Why can't we always think about that also for ourselves, especially when we build new businesses, especially when we start something new, especially when things come our way that causes us to fall?
Yes. And we want
Don't
to
make
fall
our
forward,
falling
right?
our failure, and
Fall,
our, like, this is it, done, dead, and never going to do this again,
yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. We want to fall forward and we want to learn from our mistakes. And that's what I
Yes,
always told my kids growing up. I always said, you know, it's okay to make mistakes. Those are opportunities for learning. And you want to have more mistakes early on. Whatever you're doing, make your mistakes as soon as you can. Get them out, you know, get the big ones out of the way. But the important thing is to learn from them. Don't keep, you know, if you're not learning from your mistakes, you're going to be destined to continue them.
absolutely. You know what? You remind me another thing again. You see, I didn't plan of saying all these things that are coming out naturally out of my body,
But
you know.
that's beautiful.
But one thing that I said to my children growing up, I said, there is a 16th century commentator. His name is Maor Chaim. Is I think where is it from? He's a European commentator, and he said that in life, a person has 10 tests in their life. Okay, we all do 10 tests in everybody's life, and whenever you think that you're going to be going into a trial of your own mind, of the situation, sit a second and reflect. Say to yourself, is this one of my 10 tests? Think
Mm.
about it. And then if it is one, if you think that it is one of your 10 tests, try to do the best that you can. Prepare, practice, and execute, whatever that is. I remember when my son, my 17-year-old son, was in second grade, and he came and he told me something happened in school. But because he heard me giving those talks about the 10 tests, he says to me, Mommy, in Hebrew, he says, Ima, do you think this was one of my 10 tests? A second grader. And I said to him, more importantly, do you think it was one of your 10 tests? And he says, I think it is. And I said, how did you think you did? Right? And then he said, Ima, I think I aced it. And I said, good for you. And that's a second grade. So imagine if children, you know, think about this, like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to have 10 tests. Everybody is going to have 10 tests. Let's see how we can do them. And if we fall next time, there's not only one test, there's 10 of them. You know, there's 10. So.
But you have the radar. They have the radar. They're looking for them, right? They have that radar.
Yes.
And you know, it's just like their gifts. What are my gifts? I got to discover what my gifts are.
That's
So
right.
those questions I think are beautiful, not only for, of course, to instill and plant that seed, you know, in our children and water it, but also to encourage each other.
Yeah.
So, but before we continue our conversation, I want to make sure we set the foundation here because you have so much to offer our community. I want to make sure we set the foundation in defining what positive intelligence is.
So positive intelligence is the ability to shift your mindset from negative to positive. That's bottom line definition. What is your ability, your mental capacity to doing that? Right? And we call it mental fitness.
Beautiful.
Just like you go to the gym, you are not expected to lift 100-pound weights when you go enter the gym right away. Same thing with positive intelligence. It takes time and mental practice to build those muscles in our brain. It's literally a combination of neuroscience, right? And how is it going to be in our brain? And the more you practice it, the more you become it, and the better you're able to shift in your mindset to the positive. One-time deal doesn't solve the problem. You have to do it consistently. I always say it's 20% insight and 80% work. How many times have we all gone to lectures and we thought, oh, that lecture was amazing. And then 2 weeks later, 5 weeks later, whatever months later, it fizzles out. And you don't do that, and you don't keep what they said, and you don't. Mental fitness is literally that, fitness, but in our mental, right, in our brains. So that's what is, in a nutshell, a positive intelligence concept and behind it.
Beautiful. And, also when you're talking about mental fitness and building your muscles, right, it takes time, over time. It also, the sooner you catch yourself, right? So there's something that happens in a trigger, and a lot of times either we're not aware of it, we're not conscious enough, and then we get down this road and we stop keeping our eye on what we're really supposed to be doing, and we get distracted. But
because
we
I
catch
think
ourselves, right?
Yes, absolutely, my darling. Absolutely, you are absolutely right. Here is the thing. Our brain is formed in such a way, and I'll talk about it more with our brain tomorrow in the webinar, but when we behave in a certain way, and we behave like that, let's say for 30 years, 40 years, when something happens, we go into the automatic behavior, right? That is the neural pathway that our brain recognizes. I mean, studies have been made, many studies. If you come from an abusive family, the chances of you abusing your own family is higher. Why? Because that's the only thing you know, unless you intercept that neural pathway and you say, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to create a different neural pathway. I want to go a different way. And for that, you need to, A, be aware. Number two, you have to understand that when you put your hands on a hot stove, how long can you keep it there? When we talk about you feeling bad feelings come your way, you have to think for yourself, how long do you want to feel bad? How long do you want to feel unloved, guilt, shame, anxiety, negativity of any sorts? How long do you want to feel victim in a situation? When do you want to shift? And it's about decision. When you decide, it's the first thing, right? You're aware, you decide, and then you take actions to move you from a place where you're stuck or you feel that you're stuck to getting bigger awareness of what's out there. And I want to say that positivity is within the reach of every single person. Every single person. It's not, you're not born with it. Yes, it is an inside out work and a concept, but people who are anxious can become more serene and more calm. People who are very high energy and restless and go all over the place can calm themselves down when they need to, and they can focus. It's about the work that needs to be done, but I wholeheartedly believe that it can be done.
Yeah, that's our greatest life work, is awareness, and to be able to have the ability to change the direction and keep us going in the direction of our gifts, our talents, our calling, and not get distracted, right?
Yeah.
So you gave us a beautiful story about meeting your husband, coming to America, your positive, getting certified in positive intelligence. But what attracted you to positive intelligence work?
First of all, I love the idea of looking at life from a positive lens versus a negative lens. My sister was diagnosed with cancer. Do you know, if you ask her today, she's alive and well today. If you ask her today, she was diagnosed at the age of 38. Okay.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, you know. But if you ask her today about her cancer, she will say it is, and I'm quoting, the best thing that ever happened to her. Why? Because she took it and said to herself, I am going to be so much better when this is all done. I'm going to learn so much about myself. I'm going to be the better mother, better wife, better sister, better everything, because I've learned this and I value that. And think about that. Our experiences are the marks that we carry upon our skin, you know, upon our soul. And so the idea of positivity and looking at life from a positive lens is for me, it is one of the things that I call myself. I call myself an oi to joy relationship navigator. And I came up with that before positive intelligence. It just, so when positive intelligence came to me, I thought to myself, that is me. Like, hello, you know, I'm raising my hand, I'm like, yeah, it's me. And that's how I got into it. And I'm really grateful that it came to me. I'm grateful every day, but one of the things I'm grateful for is the concept of positive intelligence, which is, by the way, a combine of 4 sciences put together: cognitive psychology, positive psychology, performing positive performance. It's more connected to IQ and not IQ, also IQ, yeah, emotional intelligence, EQ, emotional intelligence, yeah. So it's putting that together, and the person who actually is behind it, his name is Shirzad Shamin. I have his book right here. It's right there, Positive Intelligence. And so he really details it so well. And he has a PhD in neuroscience. He was an electric engineer. He has a MBA from Stanford. He's like a really very well-rounded and deep man. And I'm honored to be working with him and bringing it to the masses, bringing it to all the people. Imagine for a second if this world today that we live in will have more positivity than negativity.
Yes.
Look at what happened to us in the last year. Look how much negativity we hear from the media, social media, TV, whatever. People feeling so low. Imagine if everybody was injected with positive intelligence concept and tools.
Well, it's an energy. And so we can shift that energy. And it only takes one person who infects another person. And so you've infected all of us today on this call to, you know, go out and be our best selves. And so, you know, talking about your journey, you know, you didn't go out and seek something, it found you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you know, I hear you saying, this is me, this is who I am, because it just resonated with you, right?
Yeah, but because I come from the education training world, I wanted, and I want to bring it to many other people who wish to have more tools in their own toolbox
Yes.
of living in a positive space, of overcoming challenges. Right now, I have how many right now? 12 people that I coach right now with positive intelligence. Some of them are stay-at-home moms. Some of them are with professional women in the workplace. I have a company of engineers, men, a group of 9 men that I'm working now with them, exploring the positive intelligence and how it can be affecting not only in their team success and team productivity and team performance, but individual self-actualization. You know, what is, again, is your purpose, and how can you be the best that you can be, and how can you help lift the people around you?
Yes.
So it's like the ripple effect.
Yes.
Like one person brings another, and then you know, and then we all win, and then the boat rises up.
Yes. There's so many beautiful word pictures for that: ripple, domino effect, and how we can, you know, really make a difference in each other's lives. So share with us a little bit about the process. What is the process of positive intelligence?
So the process is, there is a program, we call it a flagship program. It's 8 weeks. There are 7 videos that are released on a weekly basis. On a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you watch the video. And then there is a group coaching, a live group coaching that I offer for the individuals that come with me. People can actually, let me take it a step back. People can go by themselves on Positive Intelligence website and get an access, pay $1,000 and get an access to those videos. No pods, no live coaching, no accountability. They can have access to the information. What I do is that in addition of giving those videos for you for those 7 weeks, I do weekly live coaching for 45 minutes with the group, talking through what they have learned, synthesizing it in our mind, in our action. I give tips. We talk to one another. We create a pod accountability. And you know what happens when we do something on our own versus if we're doing something as a group. When we do something in a group, the chances of success is 5 times more than if you do it on your own. So with me, we do it for 8 weeks. Even though the program is 7 weeks, I do an orientation week before because I really want everybody to be on the same page. We get an app. We get an app on our phones that you can access, the participants can access for a whole year. So it's there for a whole year. So what they're paying is for the videos for the whole year, for the app for the whole year, for 8 coaching sessions with me. And then, so that's the very beginning. What I find out is after those 8 weeks, the participants want to continue. Now they've formed a bond with their pod and with me, and they want to meet, maybe not on a weekly basis. So then I have groups that meet twice a month as a group. And then we go deeper into the tools, because the first 8 weeks was covering the videos and seeing how it reflects in our lives. Now we're taking real life scenarios. And so just yesterday, I had a group of 3 women and then we did a 20-minute per person laser coaching on their situation using some tools in positive intelligence. So we speak in the same jargon, so they know what I mean when I say A, B, and C. If I say, how is your saboteur right now acting? They know which saboteur, they know what it means. And I said, how can we do a self-command? They know what it means. So we have the same terminology that we use. And that was incredible. So that's the second part of where I offer. So we start always with the flagship, and then we go into continuation of pod. Some people want then to continuing, once a month with me, one-on-one coaching that is laser coaching for them. And that's great too. So the sky is the limit for your self-development. So that's the program as it is. And I'll talk more about it tomorrow in my webinar, actually inviting people and giving a promotional offer.
Yes,
As irresistible offer, as we say.
Yes, and we'll talk more about the opportunity to join and learn more at the end of this talk. So Marcel asked a question, can you give an example of a self-command? And so you actually might want to back up because Marcel wasn't able to join us for our March event. Saboteur, some of the different, some of those, the sage and all of that.
Yes. Well, Marcel, thank you for asking this question. The self-command is the ability to intercept your saboteur. And a saboteur right now is defined any negative feelings that you are feeling at the moment because of a situation. There are 10 saboteurs and there are 5 sage powers. In order to identify which saboteur is yours, there is a self-assessment that I sent that is free. Everybody can get that. And then they know what is their particular saboteur. Self-command is stopping it. Now, how do we stop it? We have exercises where we call them PQ, which is positive intelligence quotient. And it's the idea of connecting to your physicality in the here and now. So if I were to ask you right now to sit on your chair, and I'll do that with everybody, so everybody can just, so sit on your chair, feel the bottom of your seat, and if you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. Feel the bottom of your seat touches your tush. Feel the back against your chair. Take a big breath in and out. And again, another breath in and out. Let your breathing get it into its natural position. Inhaling and exhaling. Close your eyes if you need to. Put your two fingers together like that and rub them in such a way that you can feel the tension and the ridges of your fingers against one another. And when there is a thought coming, acknowledge it and let it go. And that's the idea. Emptying your mind, decluttering your mind, and just feeling, literally feeling the physicality. What happens is with self-command, it makes our body be aware of all the sensations. All the sensations. Your feet should feel the ground underneath you. So we have in the PQ world, yeah, it is a positive anchoring, yeah, and letting go, emptying everything in your mind. And the idea is to do those self-command in the program. We do it 3 times a day, 2 minutes interrupted throughout the day. Some people say, oh, should we do it only in the morning or only at night? You could do it to relax, like I do it 12 minutes at night before I go to bed, and I sleep like a baby at night, right? But during the day, when something is hijacking you and you feel anger, stress, something is a negative feeling of whatever reason, that's exactly the moment where you stop. When you feel overwhelmed, that's exactly when you stop. You do 2 minutes, and in the app that I have that everybody gets when they're in the program, there is a 2 minute, if there's an app, there's 2 minute break and you push it. And then there is 5 minutes, and then there's 12. And then there's different ones. There is a tactile ones. And then there is a walking one. And then there is a while sitting and connecting to your anchoring your breath. So there's all these ways that you can actually use the gym. And when you do that, when you use the gym, it actually records your mental battery. And you see a picture how much your mental battery is charged. So you can be charged 5%, be charged 20%, charged 90%. And the idea is at the beginning to do 36 PQ a day for the first 8 weeks. Later on, we actually ask all of our clients to increase that PQ to get better results. So and then I talk about it tomorrow a little bit more, but then as they go into the program, they see, oh, yeah. Oh, this is great. We're going to do this. It's amazing the impact that it had, really.
Beautiful. I'm going to save Marcel's other question so she can ask, she was going to ask, she can ask that during when we open the lines here in a minute. But I want to move through and just make sure, we get to explore the things on your, on your agenda. So what do you find most challenging for your clients?
One of the things that I think is most challenging is the idea of empathizing with themselves. I think a lot of us don't take enough time to realize and give ourselves unconditional love. Unconditional. So much of our love sometimes is connected to our achievements, to our outside things. So one of the challenges I have is with people finding the empathy, the self-love for themselves. And when we do that, it's easier for us also to find empathy for others. I think one of what?
That's so beautiful. It really is.
I think that is the empathy is one of the biggest challenges that I find. I also think that we don't realize how much we judge other people or judge ourselves. it's amazing because even for myself, I'm going to speak just for myself. At the beginning, I thought to myself, I don't judge people. I'm pretty open-minded. I'm pretty loving. I don't judge other people. I realized how much I do judge other people, starting with my own husband. I mean, I've been judging my sweet Bob here, right? And Bob judged me. As a matter of fact, Bob is taking this course and he says, now I see the judge everywhere. Think about it in your life, how much you judge other people. Now, there's a difference between judging and discernment, right? One comes from a place of saboteur, a place of fear. The other comes from a place of love of yourself, of other people. So that's another thing that I find quite difficult. And the last thing that I find difficult is people don't always able to see any gift or opportunities when negative things happen to them. Even if they have passed, even if it was 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, they still are having a hard time. And they will come with a defense saying, well, how can we think that there's a gift and opportunity if, let's say, the Holocaust? I had some Jewish client telling me this, right? And there's many answers to this, and I won't get into it right now. But the one thing I will say is that when you take those extreme examples, you have to be a black belt in positive intelligence to actually do that. To those who are starting, I say, take simple things. Let's learn how they can become a gift or an opportunity, and then move up the belt to understand more bigger and devastating other catastrophes that are happening. Don't start with that. Start with small and then grow into that more. So I hope that answered that question.
No, that's beautiful. So in wrapping this up here, what do you want to share to kind of tie a bow around this conversation before we, let our listeners know about your opportunity for the webinar for more information tomorrow, and then also how to work with you. So I just want you to put a bow around this conversation before we move on.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You know how hard it is to put a bow onto this conversation, but I will do my best here.
Okay.
Positive intelligence is a gift that I want to everybody to experience in their own lives. But if they don't want to do this course for whatever reason, I will say, keep two things in mind. That the other person, a lot of the time when you have negative feeling is with other people, the 10% rule. The other person is right 10%. 10% of what he says is right. 10% of what they say, they're right. If you think that way and you are practicing this this idea within a positive intelligence framework, you will find yourself to be much more content with your own life. The other thing I will say, always think of a ratio of 3-to-1. Think of 3 good things for every 1 negative things that happen to you. It will keep your mind more in the positive framework. And the third thing I will tell you is be aware of your own vortex. That is, sometimes we come into a situation and we are negative and we can bring everybody else down because our negativity is so overpowering. Don't expect other people to pick you, even though that will be lovely, right? But be aware of your own vortex. What do you bring? What is are you in the PQ channel? Are you channeling your energy of positivity, of opportunity, of build up of the group? Or are you coming in, as I say, the gloom and doom? Because if you come in the gloom and doom, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will get gloom and doom out because that's what you want. That's what you bring. So that is the very, nugget, and navigate yourself to where you want to go. And when I say that, I say, think of yourself 30 years from now, 20 years from now, depending how old you are. from that place in the future, looking to where you are now, ask yourself, let your wiser self ask you now, what is important in this junction that I should pay attention to? How do I want to be in this junction? And I think these will give you insights, valuable gem diamond insights to how you want to be now. And that will be, while, as we say it in Hebrew, while standing on one foot, this is the wisdom I can share.
Oh, I love it. It reminds me of what you were sharing with your son, the 10 tests in your life. It's not just getting through those tests and like, whew, survive that one, but what you learn from them, what you can take away, and who you become after going through that test. So I love that. That's beautiful. Well, thank you, Dorice. Let's go ahead and share with our listeners a little bit more about the webinar, because you've been alluding to it. You've been like giving all kinds of little hints. So share with our listeners and those who are listening to the recording a little bit about what you're offering tomorrow. This is time sensitive. So this is Thursday, March 18th from noon to 1 Pacific Standard Time.
That's
Tell
right.
us about that first, and then how people can follow you, work with you, connect with you.
Yes. So I would say, number one, there's a webinar that I'm teaching tomorrow at noon, offering people an hour of my time explaining again about positive intelligence, going into, all the history of positive intelligence and what I can do now, and what is my offer for everybody, which is enrolling in the 8 weeks program with me, doing coaching as a group and an option for one-on-one later on. So that is my absolutely, and I'll give a promotional for 30% off for those who attend to actually come to this and be a part of this. And my purpose is in giving this amazing discount, which will be cheaper than if somebody will go by themselves onto the positive intelligence to get those videos. It will be cheaper than that. So it will be live videos plus that for less than the $1,000 that they were requested to pay. So I think that's great. If you don't want to do that, but you want to be connected with me in some ways, LinkedIn is the way to go. If you want to do Facebook, that's great too. Subscribe to my email on DoriceHorenstein.com, first and last name.com. I have a website. I have all sorts of offerings in that way. And, I will put in a second my the information for the sign up for tomorrow right there in a link.
I went ahead and I put ways to connect with you, your website, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Saboteur assessment, and then the free webinars. They're all included in the chat line right now.
Look at that. Amazing. Thank you. That's our Cyndi.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so we all know how to connect with you. So I'm going to open the lines. Just raise your hand. And I know Marcel had a question already to go. So let's you go first, Marcel.
So she answered the first question about positive anchors. I'm very familiar with that term, so thank you. But so you know a lot, and you talked about, you're going to share a lot about the history of positive intelligence, but what is your perspective on the future of positive intelligence? What careers do you think are going to be formed because of this important work that is so important in this country and other countries?
Oh my gosh, Marcel, you're giving me the goosebumps, because not only do I see positive intelligence becoming the thing that everybody is going to be exposed to, I also think from a coaching perspective, it is bringing the coaching element to a 2.0 version, because the traditional coaching has been coming and listen, you as a coach listen to people and let them figure out some of their own issue. Here, with positive intelligence, the coaches are actually also trainers and educators, teaching you the toolbox. So if let's say you wanted to paint your house, right? And you use a brush to paint your walls in the color you want. But if you want to hang up a picture, you need to have a hammer. same thing with positive intelligence. It will teach you during this course. It's like, what is the sage power that you need right now? Do you need the empathizer power, the brush? Do you need the activate, the hammer? What do you need? And the more people will think that, and by the way, positive intelligence that book has been translated to 20 languages, appearing in 50 countries. And the number of coaches that are coming from all over the world is fantastic. It's in Israel, it's in Europe, it's in Asia, it's in the Middle East, besides Israel. Amazing. So thank you for bringing that. And I think the world needed it a month ago, 2 months ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It will need it for the future for sure. And so coming in and being right here at ground one, I don't want to say ground zero because it's not, but wow. Thank you.
That was a beautiful question. Great question, Marcel.
Great answer.
So can you repeat for our listeners and for my notes, the book on positive intelligence? Who's the author?
Shirzad Shamin, right here. Shirzad Shamin is the author and is my personal coach. So here you go.
Can you spell that?
Yes, Shirzad, 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 last name Shamin, Chamine, Shirzad Shamin. And do I have another moment to say another thought?
Of course.
Okay, so I want to say something because I think it can resonate with many of us. One of the tools that I talk about, is the sage power, is the empathy power. In order to come to a sage power, you have to activate the love, the joy, the hope, right? It's all that in the right side of our brains. And there was a study in the 1990s that's called the nun studies. I don't know if you're familiar with the nun studies. And so it's a bunch of nuns in the United States that the mother superior of this church, of this organization, agreed for researchers to come and have a question those nuns about their connecting their physicality with their emotional being. Okay, and these women have been together for 6 decades. They're now in the 1990s. They were ranged between 75 to 102. Okay, what the researchers asked those nuns in this age in their lives, ask them to provide the letter that they wrote, reflection upon entering the convent. That's it, the word convent. So, and the mother superior asked those people these women, when they entered, to write a letter of reflection, like an autobiography kind of thing. Why did they want to become a nun? Okay. So these researchers took those letters written 6 decades ago and checked over the many years those women, their emotional well-being in relationship to their physical well-being. The study was released in 2001, where they found out a clear correlation between those, because all the environment was the same, right? All the environment was the same. They were in the nun, they were together. And what they found out was when these women came with a sense of thankfulness and gratitude, their physical being was more well and they live longer. That is what positive intelligence is trying to also teach us. It's the idea of being positive from the inside. And how can we be positive on the inside? Really dialing in the concept of gratitude and thankfulness. In the Jewish tradition, it is part of our morning prayers. It is part of what I do and practice every day. But now we have actually research, scientific research connecting this our emotional well-being, starting with being the idea of thankfulness, gratitude, joy, is how well we're going to live our lives. If there's nothing people want but just living a longer life, do the work. Expose yourself to this work. It will only do you good.
And it's a conscious choice that we need to make, right? It's a conscious choice we need to make every day. And as you're mentioning, throughout the day, it's not something that we want to check off, but it reminds me of your the protocol of doing it in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, because you're forming that habit, that muscle that you talked about earlier. So this is just a really intriguing conversation, and I just have enjoyed it so much, and just want to make sure anybody else that's on the line joining us right now has an opportunity to share either an epiphany, aha, or just enter into the conversation. Feel free. We have a few minutes before we're going to wrap up. All right. So Chuck, I think I see you unmuting yourself.
Yeah,
So.
well, I got to admit, Dorice, this is like, there's so much here that I'm like, almost can't even comment. There's like so much to comprehend in this, because of course I saw your presentation the other day, and so it adds on to that. So I do think that this program seems to be quite remarkable, because just like anything else in the world, this kind of stuff, if people would embrace it in large numbers, I think it's an avenue where we can actually bring peace to the world, because then people are more empathetic to each other, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting out of it, is that this could be,
Absolutely.
it could be an evolution for people.
Yes, that's exactly it, Chuck. You nailed it right on the head. And you used the hammer. Perfect.
Oh.
Chuck has done a lot
Coaching
of
with me also brings like a little fun into that, comment, playing with one another. It's the hour with me passes really wonderfully, and people leave always with their spirits high.
Yeah.
Well, you've said it beautifully, because that's exactly what you've done. That's a contribution that you've made to our community today. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your journey, your thoughts, your hope for humanity to make this world a better place and give people the tools to be able to actually achieve it. It's not just, here, pie in the sky, right? There's actual tools, and being able to be aware of your saboteurs, be able to enact self-commands, to be able to stop those, processes and catch yourself, and to be able to access those sage, I don't know, do you call them tools?
Yeah, sage powers.
Sage powers, right. To be able to really be all that you can be. You're not only, what I'm feeling and sensing from this conversation, it's not only about being on the defensive.
Oh no.
Right? But being on the offensive with the sage powers to really accomplish all that you can in life.
Activating all of that, and being a part of, living your life in a way that when you put your head on the pillow at the end of the day, you say to yourself, I did well today. I did well today. That's it. It's the idea of living without regrets, or at least minimizing your regrets.
Yes.
How often do we want to be there?
That's exactly right. So for the listeners that are listening to this replay, check out Moments of the Heart. This is a beautiful book that Dorice wrote and gifted to me, and I'm working through it and just enjoying it. You can go to DoriceHorenstein.com, her website, to learn more about her and be connected to her. And as she mentioned, feel free to go to LinkedIn and look for Dorice. So thank you, Dorice, so much for this beautiful contribution that you've made to our community, our March Exceptional Connections networking online community, and then also on this YouTube channel, Conversation to Connect. So Thank you. Thank you for all of you who joined us. And for those who are listening, be sure to subscribe so that you can, and ring the bell so that you can be able to have access to other conversations that we have with amazing members of our community like Dorice. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.